When is the disrespect going to end? For frick's sake, CJ Mosley deserves some love, and we're going to get into it right now. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby. For me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Hey everybody, Paul Leston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green, the New York Jets intro reporter for Heavy.com, if you understood any of that garbage. Of course, like the video, hit subscribe down below for more New York Jets content, and I need to get into it immediately here. When will the disrespect and slander end for Jets linebacker CJ Mosley? I can't believe this. Full article down below. Some guy named Alex K, whoever the hell that is, from Bleacher Report, had some slander, had some disrespect on his mind when talking about CJ Mosley, saying it's one of the worst contracts in the NFL heading into 2023. Again, full article down below. Let's get into this criticism by Alex K on CJ Mosley. He had a couple of things to say. By the way, CJ Mosley, he ranked as the 7th worst contract in the entire NFL heading into the 2023 season. In case you missed it, CJ Mosley is currently in the middle of a 5-year deal for $85 million. He's got 2 years and about $34 million left on the contract. By the way, that is still currently the Jets' biggest contract in franchise history by total value, guarantees, and all that jazz. Alex K called it a, quote, bad contract and bluntly said he is an average talent at this stage of his career. And he had some other very scathing things to say about it. And I want to get into, first off, his reasons and why some of them, actually a lot of them, are straight up garbage. So let's get right into it here. Here is one of Alex K's criticisms of CJ Mosley. Quote, he's been hindered with injuries for much of his tenure with the organization, including missing 30 of 32 possible games in 2 years since he signed. When he finally returned to action in 2021, Mosley looked like a shell of his former self. What was the backing for these claims? PFF grades. PFF grades. Okay, pal, but let's read them. He had an atrocious, quote-unquote, 42 PFF grade in 2021. In 2022, this past season, he had a 69.8 PFF grade, which proves, apparently, according to Alex K, here I am, is Mosley is an average talent and someone who isn't worth the $17 million base salary in 2023. Okay. Okay, let's get into a couple of things here. First off, an absolute fallacy, absolute made-up garbage. CJ Mosley has been hindered with injuries the majority of his Jets tenure. Bullshit. No, it hasn't been. Now, it's fair that CJ Mosley has missed games. He has missed 15 games across 4 seasons for the Jets due to injury. 14 of those 15 came in his very first season. He was injured twice. Once at the beginning of the year, the second half of the Buffalo game. He was injured, came back for the New England game, got hurt again, then he was out for the year. So he only played in 2 games that season, portions of 2 games. But over the last 2 seasons, Mosley has played in 33 out of 34 possible games. So that sounds pretty good on the attendance factor. And also, the hindered by injuries, his second season he opted out. That wasn't injury related. That was family health related, as he told us, for that decision. So this garbage narrative that CJ Mosley's just been a bag of broken glass bones is absolute nonsense. Not true. So Alex K, shove that up your keister, pal. Now let's go to another one here. In terms of being over the hill, shell of himself, quote-unquote average talent. In 2021, he had 168 tackles. That was a career high for the Checks Notes 5-time Pro Bowler. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. How about last year? okay, where he proved to be a average talent. Fans criticized him. Everyone criticized him. He was voted a second-team All-Pro by his peers and by NFL coaches. Second-team All-Pro. Now, people, if you want to make fun of the Pro Bowl, fine. Jump in line. A lot of people making fun of the Pro Bowl and its history. So you want to make fun of, well, my grandma's brother's cousin's nephew was a 7th alternate in the Pro Bowl, fine. The All-Pro, there's none of that nonsense. So I thought that the second-team All-Pro may, quell some of the noise, knock off a few of the naysayers, but apparently not. Now, let's get to the brass tacks here. Did the Jets overpay for CJ Mosley? Absolutely they did. During that 2019 offseason, Quan Alexander, who ended up ironically playing with CJ Mosley eventually during his tenure, but keep that aside for a second, was the new highest paid off-ball linebacker in football. He signed a 4-year deal for $54 million. That was a cool average of $13.5 million per year, which for a very brief moment in football history was the #1 mark among linebackers. Then Mike McCagnon said, hold my beer. And then all of a sudden CJ Mosley ended up getting that 5-year, $85 million deal where he was paid an obscene $17 million per year, which obviously shattered the linebacker reset market that was set, a day or two before. So Quan held it for a short time, and then CJ Mosley annihilated it by more than $3.5 million per year on that average salary. So did the Jets overpay? Of course they did. Now, you have to do that sometimes in free agency, so I'll note that, #1. #2, the Jets brass at the time valued his leadership and the culture ability coming in. So beyond the position, which obviously NFL teams don't typically spend that kind of moolah at the off-ball linebacker position, but the Jets valued all of that. And while it took us a while to see the return on investment, year #1, mired in injuries, year #2, COVID opt-out, which, again, if fans could have COVID opted out of the 2020 season, they might have. Let's be honest. They might have. By the way, fun fact here, my YouTube channel started in the COVID opt-out year. That 2020 season, 2-14, that's when we started this channel. Talk about timing. That's kind of weird. But anywho, back to the point, CJ Mosley has been a freaking stud muffin for the Jets. A second-team All-Pro last year. The year before, had a brand new career high. He was a superstar for the Ravens, and he beat that total on the Jets. I know tackles sometimes could be a weird thing to associate with, like, the best of the best, but for a 5-time Pro Bowler to reset his own career high with the Jets in that 2021 season, that says something to me. And then the 2022, the film doesn't lie. The players don't lie. The coaches don't lie. They call it how it is, and that's what happened. So CJ Mosley deserves a little bit more respect on his name. Average talent and all these other garbage criticisms by Alex K of Bleacher Report. I'm sorry, pal, but you're just reaching, man. When you're pointing to PFF grades, that's like when we talk about Carmelo in the grand scheme of who's the greatest of all time. And then all of a sudden we talk about championships and this. And then Carmelo says, well, I got Olympic medals. That's when, the arguments start to go south. So as soon as they start saying, well, the PFF grades weren't quite up to par, I'm like, we already won this argument, pal. So I just think CJ Mosley deserves some respect on his name. He's been the leader. He even flipped Robert Saleh. There was trade rumors when Robert Saleh came in and CJ Mosley was going to be the guy because they weren't sure if CJ Mosley was going to fit the scheme. And he sold Saleh. He sold this team. He sold this new coaching staff. CJ Mosley is the real deal. And if you don't believe it, the Jets were even trying to speak with his agent about a restructure that would keep him here even longer. So people, please stop the slander in the streets on CJ Mosley. He doesn't deserve it. He's a captain. He's a leader. He's a stud. He is a pillar, quite frankly, of this New York Jets team. If they want to get to the Super Bowl, CJ Mosley is going to be a big reason why. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. Also, check out the article down below for all the juicy deets and anything we might not have gotten to in this video. Always appreciate the support, everybody, and we will see you next time. And also, let me give a special happy Father's Day to all our Jets fathers out there, including myself. I've got a beautiful little girl at home, and a special happy Father's Day to each and every one of you. Thanks for supporting. We appreciate it.